This Wonderkid is very special because I think we might have found a player who perfectly suits the FM24 match engine. That's right, it's time for another episode of Wonderkid to Superstar, and if you stick with us today, we will show you just how good this player can become with the right kind of development in his save. He really can be one of the best strikers in this year's in-match engine. I know some people don't like the word meta, but he is definitely someone that suits what is favoured in the engine this year, which tends to be someone who is either quick, strong or tall, and we'll get on to why this player is so special in a few seconds. Before we do though, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you smash the like button for us and comment down below who you want to see in the next episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. With that being said, let's go find this star striker. You might have heard of him so far, you might not have done. If you haven't, you are in for a treat. Now we're going to go to Atletico de Madrid. And if you go into their squad and filter by their youngest players, you will find someone out on loan currently at Alaves, and his name is Samu Omorodion, or Omorodion, I don't know how you pronounce it, but the 19-year-old Spanish striker is an absolute beast in-game for a bunch of reasons. Now, usually in these videos we focus on players that are a little bit younger. Samu here is 19, but I do not think that takes away from just how good he can be, and that is going back to what I said earlier about those physical attributes in-game. If you're quick, if you're strong, if you're tall, you're likely going to be very powerful in-game, but someone that has all three of those is going to be super special, and that is exactly what we have with Samu, and he's only 19 here, so he's going to get miles better than what we're seeing. He's got 15 strength and natural fitness, 16 pace and 14 acceleration, decent agility and balance, as well as 16 jumping reach. He can finish. He's determined here in this save. That might be different in your save because some of these attributes can be randomized, and he can head the ball as well. He's not going to be the world's best passer, but he does work decently hard, and he's got good off the ball work and flair. And if you are looking for a striker this year, then Samu could be the one for you. He has a potential range of 140 to 170. Now, even if you got him on the lowest end of that range, I still think he will be a high-level goal scorer, even just straight away, purely because of those physical attributes. Now, the 6'4" forward you can pick up for a cheap fee of £12 million as a release clause deal after the end of his contract with Alaves out on loan. There's no clause there for them to buy him, so he will return to Atletico. He will have a few years left on his contract, but if you keep an eye on him, you might be able to get him for super cheap, because if they don't give him a chance in the first team, you might be able to get a bargain discount on the player. For now though, for the purpose of this simulation, we're going to bring him over using the editor to our Real Madrid team so we can set him up in the best environment possible and show you how we would train him to try and get him into that world-class striker that he can definitely become. Firstly, the tactic. He's going to be playing as a striker, the lone advance forward in a 4-3-3 gegenpress preset provided by the game. I've moved a few roles around, but really all of the instructions are as they would be on the game provided tactic, so it's not like I'm using anything game-breaking here. Now, he's also being mentored by some of the older heads at the club to try and get his personality a little bit better, and I would always suggest you do that with your young players. Make sure they're being mentored. If you don't know how, go to training and then mentoring up here, and then you can select your group for your player to be mentored from. So Omorodion here has got the likes of Modric training him, mentoring him, and trying to make him a better player when it comes to those hidden mental attributes. Now, in terms of his training, you can focus in on his role as we always suggest, and then outside of that, with the additional focus, it's really up to you what you want to go for. If you want him as a more complete striker, maybe you want to work on his passing range, maybe it's the dribbling, but for me, I like his attributes the way they are. He doesn't necessarily need to be that link-up man. I think he is going to be the man in the box, finishing off all the chances, and for that I would go for final third to try and work on that decision making and that composure, which is quite low at this stage of 9 and a 12 for composure. If we can get that up, he'll make better decisions in front of goal, and that will likely lead to a lot more goals. Now, of course, for you guys, I'm not saying that you should start him for a team like Real Madrid straight away, but for the sake of the simulation, we're putting him right in at the deep end, letting him play. With players around this age profile of about 19, they definitely need game time in Football Manager, so we're going to give that to Samu here, and hopefully we see some good results. So let's forward a few years ahead and see how he's getting on the lowest end of that potential range. And here we are in 2025, a few years have passed with Samu as our striker, considered a 4-star player based on his current form, but ignore those star ratings, they really aren't an accurate reflection of how good a player is. But this is him sitting at about 145 current ability, so way towards the lower end of that potential range. So in the worst case kind of scenario, this is what Samu would develop into, which is already incredible to say that, because if this is worst case, how good is he going to be? 14 acceleration, 16 balance, 18 jumping reach, 17 pace, and 16 strength. He's got 12 heading, 15 finishing, 12 dribbling. His passing has gone up, his decision making and his composure is now at a good level, particularly that composure at 15. Great anticipation and off the ball work. He's still got that flair, he's got some nice work rate and vision too, and he is genuinely such a complete striker and someone that's really going to suit the match engine this year. And you can see that when it comes to his in-game performances in his few years so far at Real Madrid. In season 1, he hit 30 goals in 37 matches in the league alone, and then in season 2, 24 goals in 38 matches with a better average match rate, and overall he was contributing some more assists to his game as he became a more well-rounded striker. Now this kind of player right here is just such a physical beast, a complete forward that's going to be a nightmare for defenders, pace, strength and in the air. Reminds me very much of Drogba at Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea fan. The opposition always used to be scared of playing someone like Drogba. Now imagine Samu having this kind of physical output on the defenders is going to do the same for them. But of course this is only him in the worst possible scenario, so let's see just how good he can become at his maximum. Before we see Samu in his prime, just to let you guys know, I do have my own channel linked in the description. Now, you might have heard me talk about it before and maybe never checked it out, but I'd really appreciate if you could at this time, because we're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We haven't got long, we're on 28,000 and something, so we're getting close, so any support will be massively appreciated. We have FM content over there, from YouTube shorts about Wonderkids you might not have heard of, to Football Manager rebuild. So if you're into that kind of thing, I really would appreciate any support. But let's get back to Samu, who is now 28 years of age in the prime of his career with 14 goals in 27 international caps for Spain. He is now an international goal scorer. You might expect a few more goals from him in that Spanish national team, but it hasn't quite worked out for him there yet. No idea why. We're not managing him in that situation, but physically he is still an absolute animal with great attributes in every single area. 17 composure as well now and 17 off the ball work, combined with 16 finishing, 16 first touch, 14 long shots, technique. The dribbling ability is there, and he did not have that a few years ago. He's got the composure and the anticipation, and that has led to him being a monster in the in-game engine, scoring 40 goals in one season at one point, more than a goal a game in the Spanish league. Looks like he had an injury at some point and took a little bit of a while to recover, but even then he was still scoring pretty much a goal every game or so. He has got an incredible record of 256 goals in 344 games so far, but we've actually got a simulation at the end of his career, so let's switch to that. And at the age of 36, Samu is about to retire with a great career under his belt, 19 goals and 42 international caps by the end of it. I imagine he wasn't the starting striker for Spain and was often playing off the bench based on these stats, because we can see when it comes to scoring in the league, he has had that down to a T. There is no one that could have compared in La Liga with our man Samu. The way that he's been playing is incredible. He is perfectly suited to this engine, whether it's scoring goals or creating chances. He is going down as one of the legends of world football based on his career so far at Madrid. And as I mentioned before, Samu is someone that is going to perfectly suit the in-game engine this year, so I'd definitely check him out in your saves. He can play for even the most elite level teams, but you should be able to sign him for teams that maybe aren't at that level. Say you're a relegation Premier League side, you might be able to attract Samu to your team and get an elite goal scorer for a pretty cheap fee. Let me know what you think of him down below. I'm giving him a 10 out of 10, the perfect striker for this year's Football Manager. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.